Okay, now that you know the 4 different formats and what they're used for and why they're different, let's talk about your survey cadence. And you're going to see how you can send a lot more surveys than you think, and in fact, you must, in order to get all the data you need in order to drive engagement properly. But it's not as overwhelming as it looks, so let's look at it together. So I made a little Google sheet for you, okay? I'll put it in the notes of this lesson. But it's as simple as sending an engagement survey once a year, a manager survey once a year. ENPS is quarterly, and then pulse surveys are in the off months of your engagement or your manager survey. Now, I often tell people, don't send your engagement survey in January. People are just coming back from the holidays in January. They were dealing with their families. Oh my gosh. They were either traveling or hosting, or maybe they had nowhere to be, and that was lonely and awful. January is not the time to be like, please give me detailed responses on how we can do better, because often they just took a big break. So they're not really back into the swing of things. I like to tell companies and clients and people I'm helping to send your engagement survey in February when people are really like back into the chaos and the anarchy, like, oh yeah, let me tell you, against Gallup Q12's questions, statements like what's up, why this is busted and broken, the daily employee experience. So you're never going to send a pulse survey in the same month that you're going to send an engagement or a manager survey, because these are like the big whoppers, okay? The rest of your pulse surveys are meant to be digging deeper in what you learned in your engagement or your manager survey. So it wouldn't make sense for you to send a pulse survey at the same time. But what is okay is to send an ENPS and a pulse survey at the same time, or you can include your ENPS with one of your whoppers, because it's, the benchmarking question. So whenever you're telling employees that a survey is coming, you can very easily explain it. Like, you're going to see that benchmarking question that we have. It's not that we forgot your answer to ENPS last time, because I know the question never changes. This tells us how we're doing over the course of many months. But also you'll get our engagement survey, or also our manager survey, or you'll be getting our pulse survey, where we're digging deeper into some things that you told us in the engagement or the manager surveys. But you would never send an engagement or a manager survey and a pulse survey. That's like finding out a murder happened while you've already launched the investigation. It's like they can't happen simultaneously. It's one and then the other. The murder happens, then you launch an investigation. That's a very violent example. I'm sorry. That's what came to mind. If this feels overwhelming to you, it's probably because your HR team is understaffed. So check out that lesson and the resource and the template that we have for you in the resource section. We have stuff for you. I'll put it in the lesson notes for you to ask for more headcount on your team or to get more budget, because this is the love language of your company. This is how your employees start to feel psychologically safe, that if something goes wrong, I'm going to be asked for feedback, and they listen to me and they take it seriously. For the more visual learners, I got out my iPad and I drew something where my daughter was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "It's for mommy's course." So just bear with me for a second, because those of you who think like me and you need an image, this is going to be helpful. This is your ENPS, okay? I'm sorry, there's no key. Once a quarter, you got your ENPS. Then you've got, see, in February, you've got your your engagement survey. And these different colored dots, there's 12 of them. Get it? Because Gallup's Q12. So you do your engagement survey, you get all these insights. Some of them you have to put a pin in it. You can't get to it because it's at the top of the employee hierarchy of needs. You don't go fix that stuff first. And if you don't know the employee hierarchy of needs, we'll link out to that lesson too. But the next month, you hit like the very most lower employee hierarchy of needs. Like, it's a big need. You got to figure out more and investigate. It scored the lowest. Then you would send a pulse survey that next month. But you're only going to ask questions about the low scoring statement. You're not going to jump around and ask a pulse survey about this stuff and about this stuff and about this stuff and that stuff. You're going to jump around. You need to get laser focused on just figuring out, is this a tools issue? Is this a manager issue? Is it a communications issue? Is it a teams issue? Is it a resources issue? So that's why this is like a little onion. You are asking open-ended questions to get more to the root of why did this statement score so low? Then the next month, you go up and you figure out what's next on the burning, hierarchy of needs, low scoring statements. The next month you do the same approach. Then you keep going. These dotted lines are just to show you that this pulse survey is very laser focused on just this aspect of your engagement survey. And then you keep going over here, you keep learning more, you're starting to put the pieces together. Okay, we've got a training issue, we've got a manager issue. Then you do your manager survey, you learn some more insights, and you do pulse surveys again to learn more about why things scored so low. So some of you might be like, Christy, you're insane. This was not helpful at all. And some of you might be like, I feel so understood. So I would love to know if this image was helpful for you or not, because I enjoyed making it. Now, let's be clear. If you're sitting here shaking your head like, Christy, there's no way. This is going to cause so much survey fatigue. My employees are not going to tolerate this, and neither are my executives. Survey fatigue is not real. And this is coming from the disengaged employee who built all of this for you. I loved getting surveys, and I did work for one very high-performing organization that I modeled this off of. And it was just my experience of working at this company of about 200 employees. They followed the perfect formula every time to build trust, and it's called a feedback loop. There's no such thing as survey fatigue as long as you close the loop with employees. But a lot of companies make the mistake of sending surveys willy-nilly or here and there and then nothing at all for a long time, or employees don't hear back and they don't really see actionable stuff come from the feedback they gave. So we're going to talk about a feedback loop. This is momentum, okay? Keep this in mind. I know there's a lot to take in, but every time you send a survey, no matter the format, you're going to follow this path, okay? And this is how you give a great experience every single time so that your employees don't wince when they see your surveys and executives aren't like, what are you doing? You're going to start over here on the right. We're going to go around. It's like a figure 8, okay? Like the infinity symbol. First things first. This is not your checklist. That's the next lesson, but this is just how you're going to think about moving through each survey and why this is totally realistic. The first thing you're going to do is make sure you know your goal. What are you trying to figure out? Are you sending your engagement survey to figure out why everyone's quitting? Or why everyone's disengaged? Are you sending a pulse survey to get clear on something you learned from your engagement survey? What are you trying to learn? Then you pick the format, you build your survey, you notify your managers. This is so clutch. Listen to this. Your managers are an extension of you, and they spend a lot more time with employees. So you should be having a monthly manager huddle. We have lessons coming on that. And you should be reminding them in that huddle that's like, hey, this survey's coming out, and it helps you to have a more productive team. So getting their buy-in and telling them their why, what's in it for them, excuse me, helps you to make your announcement get more legs. So it's not just you shouting from the rooftops, please take this survey for the love of God. When your managers get it, you're more likely to get more people to take it. Then you announce it to everyone so that managers in their one-on-ones or in their team meetings, by the way, guys, make sure you take that survey. You deploy it, you send it out, you ask your managers to remind over and over and over again in their one-on-ones. Because they're anonymous. We don't know who hasn't taken them. And you want employees to believe that they're anonymous. So you just have the managers just really drive it home that it matters. When employees have their manager telling them to take the survey, it's almost like a subconscious oh yeah, I can tell the truth because even my manager's telling me this is important. So I'm going to probably share a little bit about the gaps that my manager has. And that's okay. That's a good thing. That's the beginnings of psychological safety because you're getting good at telling your managers, this isn't a witch hunt for you. We have to figure out ways that we need to better support you as a manager. Then you're going to find at least 3 to 5 other ways to remind everyone, whether you need to send a silly video or get your executive to make something or send something or say something at the next all hands. Find 3 to 5 ways. Use a funny GIF in Slack or Microsoft Teams, or if you have frontline team members, I love a software called Beekeeper. They're really great at connecting with your employees who aren't desk bound. But find 3 to 5 other ways to mention it. Then you're going to close the survey. You thank everyone. Oh my gosh, when the survey closes, we need closure just that it closed. Tell everyone it closed. Thank everyone for taking it. That's an important step. And explain the next steps. So like if you're going to discuss it in the next all hands, or like just tell everyone when they can expect to be told what learnings were, you need to tell everyone what to expect, because we're kind of sitting on pins and needles like, oh my gosh, how much trouble are we in? And the answer is none. This is critical data to drive the business forward. Then you go from the getting the data stage into taking action phase. And this is mostly on you and your executive that you report into. So you're going to take the time to analyze the results. And you need time for this. This is why you need a properly staffed team. Because if you're responding to 401k questions and onboarding new employees and hiring people and firing people, you don't have the brain space to figure out like what you're going to do with all this data and like how to troubleshoot it. You have to have time for run the business and change the business. And if you need a whole day or two to be like put a notification on Slack, put a status like I'm unavailable. I will be back at this time on this day. I am unavailable. You need that time and space to like think critically about what you're learning. You can't get interrupted. That's why you need to have a properly staffed team to keep things functioning in the background. Then you take the time after you figure out like what are the key takeaways. You do your research. What are the ways we could solve for this? And pick your top 3. Part of this community is for you to talk about it in office hours, but you can also throw it into ChatGPT and be like, okay, here's all the raw results, like qualitative feedback in people's own words. What are your key takeaways and what are ways we can solve for this? Use AI to help you think faster. You identify whatever possible solutions could, solve the problem. Make sure it's 3 solutions that you love, that you're good with. That's the trick to making sure your answer always gets picked. And then you meet with the CEO and you let them choose. You like work with them to make them feel like they have some level of control and you're not just doing crazy stuff without their buy-in. Let them choose. But again, make sure it's 3 things that you're like, we can't like lose if we pick any of these. All of these are good. Once you two have agreed on what it is, then you present the solution to the managers. Managers love to feel like they have the insider scoop. So in your next, monthly manager huddle, you say, hey, just so you know, like this is what we learned from the last survey that we sent out. This is what we're planning to do. We'd love feedback from you, but like mostly we're letting you know like what the path forward is so that if your teams have questions, we have that dialogue going with you. Then you present the results and the solution. Hey, here's what we learned. 20 or 89% of you said that you don't feel like you have the right tool for whatever. So, we're going to make this investment in this tool. Thank you so much for telling us. This is the plan. We're going to try to implement it by May. And your next all hands is like, it's like full circle. No matter the format, if you follow this process, you will generate so much trust. You are meeting everyone's needs, from your employees to your managers to your executives, and you're getting everyone's buy-in while you are literally getting to the best right answers of why your workforce is disengaged and fixing it correctly, because you're going against the employee hierarchy of needs. And it gets really exciting. This is the part where it gets really fulfilling, because you're not doing guesswork. You are literally listening to your workforce and fixing things, making changes to your employee experience in a way that you know is going to work, because it's what they said they wanted, and you're not working on things out of order. There's no more guesswork. It's not going to be perfect completely, but it's going to be way better than like sending out a survey, finding out people don't feel recognized, throwing together a recognition program and wondering why nobody uses it. And now you're paying for expensive software. That is like tale as old as time. I've heard it so many times, and I worked in HR tech. You're learning how to make sure that your employee initiatives don't fail, and how to talk about things, whether it's your employees or your managers or your executives, what's in it for them, why it's important, why it drives the business forward, why it's an investment in like everybody's growth, whatever it is. This is where the magic happens. Okay. So the biggest takeaway for this lesson is that you can send more surveys than you think. And in fact, you must, because your employees, they crave a feedback loop and you need that data so that you're not taking shots in the dark, trying to put together employee initiatives that they don't want. And my question for you is, how often have you surveyed in the past and how has that felt? Now that you've seen this framework, does it feel more realistic to survey more often? Okay, I guess that was a bonus question. You can answer either or. There's a little comment button in the where you're watching the lesson, shrink the lesson down. There's like a little comment in the, I forget exactly where it is, but look around on your interface. Okay? Some people say like, I don't know where to leave a comment. There's a little word bubble that you should be able to click on and leave a comment. Okay. I'll see you in the next lesson.